Hey guys, Rick at Halenfield Farm. You know, a lot of small farms fail. It's pretty common, and more people are wanting to get into business for themselves and start farming for themselves. And there's a lot of reasons why they fail, but the biggest one is they're just not business minded, and they don't have a good strategy. So we're going to talk about a little bit about that today, on 6 things that you absolutely must have if you're going to run a farm business. And the first one obviously should be a business plan, and it needs to tell you or tell anyone who you are, what you're doing and how you're going to do it, how you're paying for it, what challenges or obstacles you will face, and how you will overcome them. And it's not just for banks. It's good to have, even if it's for yourself, because it's basically a contract for yourself that you're going to go back and look on, and it's going to keep you on path. This is your plan. This is your strategy. So this is the path you're going to follow. What you've decided is your business plan. Those fundamentals written in that plan is going to be the backbone of your business. And yes, it's, if you want financing or a loan or something like that, you will need a business plan, a well-written business plan. But it's important to have one either way, because you can have everything in your head, and that's great, but it's much better to have it written down somewhere, that these are your goals, these are how you're going to accomplish your goals, this is why you're accomplishing your goals, and this is the outcome of the goals. Very, very important first step. Even if it's something simple, jot a few things down, like this is what we want to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is the outcome that we're hoping for at the end of the year. And then you at least have the basic fundamentals that you're going to build your business off. And you can always add to it or take away from it, tweak it however you need. But you should 100% always have some sort of business plan, even if it's just a guide that you look back on. Okay. The second thing is a solid, detailed financial plan. Okay. It needs to be well thought out, and it needs to track every expense, especially the little ones, because those little ones are what add up quickly. You know, if you're budgeting your stuff and you know you're going to spend $400 of grain every month, you already know that. But maybe you weren't thinking, well, I got to spend $20 on pest repellent this month, or $30 on some chemical for the garden. So really give it a lot of thought of every little thing that you might need over the course of a year. And it's good to plan 2 or 3 years out. And if you ever went for a loan or something, they're probably going to want to see a 3-year financial plan of, you know, how you plan on growing and to see your bottom line. But those little things, you know, $20 here, $30 there, you know, maybe a couple dollars for some salt blocks that you weren't planning on, you know, all that stuff adds up. And then, you know, at the end of the month, hey, we're, you know, in the red because we didn't keep track of all our expenses and we didn't plan ahead for those expenses. And, you know, maybe you're not familiar with spreadsheets, but, you know, there's a lot of stuff online that teach you how to do it. You can find some YouTube videos teach you how to do it. And it's a good idea to just put in maybe a miscellaneous bar column and throw in an extra $100 a month for expenses. Doesn't mean you have to use the 100, but it's there, it's in the budget, and then, you know, you have that to fall back on, and then you're not in the red because you've already planned for it. So you need to have a good marketing strategy. You know, you got to know how you're going to get your name out, how you're going to build your brand. You need to know who your customer is that you're going to market to. You know, you can make goat soap, for instance, you know, but that market is pretty flooded, and it has been for a while. and every backyard farmer is doing it. If you go to a farmer's market or a craft show, you know, a good majority of those people are selling goat soap. So is that the right business for you? Probably not, because you already have high level of competition. But so how are you going to market? Word of mouth, well, is good, but it'll only get you so far. In this day and age, you know, it's more social media. You know, does your farm have an Instagram page? Does your farm have a Facebook page? Maybe you have a YouTube channel, you know, a TikTok. There's all different kinds of ways to market nowadays. So you need to have a good marketing strategy. You need to, and that can be part of your business plan as well. You know, how are you going to market yourself? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what you're marketing. You're not marketing your product so much as yourself, because people want to deal with good people that are, you know what they're doing and care about their product. And that's what sells your product, is being that kind of person. So take some time, jot some notes, figure out how you're going to market it. You know, we market our channel a lot on Facebook. That's one way we do it. Once we start selling again, we'll, you know, have the farm stand, and we'll have signs out front, and you know, we'll join local Facebook groups, stuff like that. But there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, and there's a lot of ways you can do it fairly free or inexpensive. So seriously, give that some thought, because marketing is a huge part of your business, and you need to spend some time on it, and you need to really develop a good, strong brand. You need to have time, and there's just no other way around that. You need to know your limits. So if you're working a full-time job and you only have, you know, 20-30 hours a week that you can spend on the farm, well, then you need to strategize and you know, build a solid routine to get everything done and stick to your routine. You know, I'd gone back to work last year, and it was, you know, early summer, late spring, and you know, I went back to work and I couldn't keep up with everything. It was just too much. The garden alone was killing me because of its size, and just trying to keep up with everything. You have to have the time. If you're going to have a business and you don't have the time, you're going to fail. And that's an unfortunate truth, but doesn't mean if you're working a full-time job you can't have a business. You just need to prioritize your time. Like I said, build a good routine that, you know, this is when you're doing this is when you're doing that. You know, maybe you got weekends off, you can do farmers markets, that's great, but when you're making your product. So there's a lot of things, and building a solid routine is really what's going to help you most, and then holding yourself accountable to stick to it. You need to know your customer. Do you have the right product for the right area? And again, an example is, you know, goat soap. You know, is it a flooded market? Are you going to have tons and tons of competition? Because that's going to hurt your sales in the long run. Is there a need for your product? And again, same thing. You know, in a flooded market, you need to maybe think outside the box and come up with a product that not a lot of people are doing, or look around in your community and find out what the need is. Maybe there's a specific need that you can fill, and that's where you hit your honeypot right there. So you need to know what they're willing to pay. Are you competitive on your prices? Because nobody wants to pay too much, but at the same time you have to make a profit. So it's best to come up with a fair pricing plan. And then, will they be a repeat customer? You know, depending where you are, maybe you get a lot of tourists. That's great in the summer, but then come winter, you know, when the tourists have gone home, you don't have that extra business. So the goal is to always keep the customer to come back, but it's not always the case. at the same time, you need to make the inventory you're going to sell, per se, if that's what you're doing, you know, and have the inventory that's needed. You don't necessarily need an overabundance. So, and that could work both ways with livestock and such. You know, maybe you're raising 100 chickens for meat. Well, is there a customer base there for that? It's very important to know, you know, because if maybe there's competition down the street or the next town over and they're a big operation, and these people or customers have been buying from them for years and years, and you're just trying to build your brand up, it's going to take a little longer, and you just really need to spend the time and you know, build up that customer base, and then you'll get to know your customer. So and the last thing is a correction of errors. And at the end of every year, every business should do this. And basically, you should look at everything that you've done and, you know, write it down on paper. Don't keep the stuff in your head. When it's out on paper or on a computer screen or something like that, then it's out there and you can see it, and it's in front of you, and that makes solving issues and problems a lot easier. So you do revisit it at the end of every year. You're going to ask yourself what worked and what didn't. You know, what were you very successful at this year? What was not successful? Then you ask yourself, how can you make what worked better and more profitable, because you know it worked. So you're already on the right track. But then you ask yourself, how can you make what didn't work by doing it differently? So maybe you tried something, maybe you raised some birds and you didn't sell them because you didn't have your customer base, or you were overpriced, or the competition's just too high. So how do you fix that? Maybe it's as simple as better marketing. Maybe it's lowering your price, or reworking how you feed so that you can lower your price. There's a lot of different things anybody can do. It just sometimes takes asking yourself some hard questions, because nobody wants to fail, obviously. But honestly, failing is the best way to succeed, because you learn a lot more by failing than you do by winning. So, but that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys can get something out of this. You know, I'll recap real quick. You know, business plan. You know, make sure you tell them who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're going to do it. Financial plan, track everything, every little thing, down to a little mousetrap, and track everything. Good marketing strategy. There's lots and lots of resources out there, and nowadays it's very easy to market, you know, very cost effectively. Make sure you have time, and if you don't have time, build a solid routine so that you can structure your needs of the business. And then know your customer base, know what they want to pay, you know what they may need in the future. You know, that's a big question to ask yourself. You know, what you're doing now is great, but maybe they're going to need more, or maybe they're going to need something different. What could you be doing in the future? And the correction of errors, like the business plan, financial, and correction of errors is huge. And when you put that all on paper and you look and you realize, hey, you know what, I could have done this differently, and that would have solved my whole problem. And then you fixed that problem, and now you're on the right track again. So there's always going to be little setbacks, but there's always bigger steps forward if you keep to it. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.